Welcome back, everyone, to the Irish Breakdown Podcast. Ryan Roberts, Director of Recruiting here at irishbreakdown.com, at Rise and Drift on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter or the app now known as X, I suppose. We are live here in San Antonio, Texas for the 2024 All-American Bowl that is scheduled to be played on Saturday, January 6th. It is a big week for Notre Dame football because there are several key signees in the 2024 class that are on site competing against some of the nation's best in the 2024 recruiting class. And I'm going to talk about everything I saw from day one. Got a chance to take in the west side of the battle this week. We obviously have the west team, we have the east team. On the west side, Mr. Cam Williams, star wide receiver out of Glenbard South in the state of Illinois, 5-star by yours truly. I think he's a fantastic football player. You also have rivals, 5-star linebacker Kyngston Viliamu-Asa out of St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California, heading up the west. On the east side, got Mr. Kedron Young, star running back out of Lufkin, Texas, nearly 4,000 rushing yards in his illustrious career at Lufkin. And then you also have Mr. Bryce Young, star pass rusher out of Charlotte Christian in the state of North Carolina. Of course, the son of former Notre Dame legend and NFL Pro Football Hall of Famer, Bryant Young. So I had the opportunity to take in the west side of this bracket today. They played at Trinity University. So there's two spots just kind of for people that haven't been down here before. There are two practice options between these two squads. One, the Alamo Dome, and they rotate this every single day. Two is Trinity University football fields. So today I was at the west squad, which was at Trinity University. Again, Cam Williams, Kyngstonn Viliamu-Asa were the two Notre Dame players that were in attendance and were competing on today's field on the West teams. That, of course, means that I want to talk about both Cam Williams and Kyngstonn Viliamu-Asa, the things I saw today. Also want to talk to you guys a little bit about just kind of the rest of the week and pertaining to scheduling and what that's going to look like for the Notre Dame recruits that are on I'm not saying on campus, but they're on site here in San Antonio, Texas. And I also have a video for you. We got some nice cut-ups. By the way, if you guys wanted the first kind of early impression of my thoughts from the practice, you can go to boards.irishbreakdown.com. All the live content is obviously going at irishbreakdown.com, but before it is posted on Twitter or any other social media platform, I make sure that the lovely subscribers at boards.irishbreakdown.com are the ones that get the information first. So make sure you go subscribe over there. Let's start with Cam Williams, who is arguably, actually, it's a great conversation. There are probably about 3 to 4 players in the 2024 class for Notre Dame who I would say are the most highly anticipated players of the 2024 class. They're, in my opinion, CJ Carr, obviously star quarterback who enrolled during bowl prep and is already on campus. Cam Williams, who I mentioned already. I would say Kyngstonn Viliamu-Asa, and then you kind of throw in maybe Gerby Lambert in that conversation, the star offensive tackle out of the state of Massachusetts, West Roxbury, went to Catholic Memorial. Those are probably the ones that I would say are the 4 most highly anticipated 2024 recruits for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the to hopefully impact this team in year 1 and be able to come in and show their worth and show their value and make an impact on this team relatively early. And Cam Williams is definitely in that conversation because let's talk about what the expectation was set before the week, and I'll talk about what he did on day 1. Before the week, I would say that most people probably would have expected Cam Williams to come in and be one of the top wide receivers on site, to be one of the top guys on both either the West or the East squad. And so that's the expectation. Now, what I saw on day 1 is I had kind of coined it as I thought he got off to a really solid start because there were a lot of factors, in my opinion, that prevented Cam Williams from being a takeover star on day 1. One of them is practice format. Now, historically, at least what it's been kind of like over the last couple years, is the East squad usually comes out just kind of guns blazing. They're doing pass rush one-on-ones, offensive line, defensive line. They're doing wide receiver, defensive back one-on-ones. They are really getting the compete level high and the energy at a resounding rates pretty early on in these practices. Like I wasn't in attendance in the East, but I know obviously one circulating Twitter, two talking to people that were on site in the Alamo Dome today. They were getting after it, right? They were getting after it, being able to do those one-on-ones and to really get that competitive nature rolling a little bit. The West squad is much more kind of they ease into the week. Now, of course, they'll do one-on-ones, they'll do 7-on-7, they'll do team, they'll do everything that you want in an all-star week. But day one, typically, and what it was for the West squad today was much more of a it was much more of a not a walkthrough, but it was an install period almost of sorts. Wide receivers were running routes. Offensive linemen were running through their steps and running through their blocking scheme. Quarterbacks are going through their reads, their progressions. Linebackers are working through their run fits and their drops. Cornerbacks, safeties, they're working whatever pass coverage they're in. That's what today was designed for. So in that environment, it's a little hard for a wide receiver, especially to make like this gigantic impact because there was probably one-on-ones for 5 minutes of practice, if that. Like there just wasn't many opportunities today. A lot of routes on air, decent amount of team. But for the most part, I just think that it kind of limited what Cam Williams could do. The other thing, and this is even probably at a higher rate, in my opinion, is that it was near torrential downpour today in San Antonio, Texas. It was raining a lot. But despite that, and I'll play a couple of the clips later, I thought Cam Williams looked really good, as is to be expected. I mean, this kid is a legitimate 5-star on the composite and a 5-star, in my opinion. I think he is tremendous. And I saw everything that I needed to see from a physical perspective, first and foremost. One, 6'1 and a half, 190 pounds. This kid is got a wiry frame. He's long, and he's a very talented player overall from just a physical skill set perspective. It was great to get to isolate a lot of what makes Cam Williams really special, though. And I think that's what you got today a lot. You saw him working on the top ends of his routes, getting in and out of breaks, kind of really understanding how to manipulate the stem a little bit. And we talk obviously a lot about release packages. And I saw a pretty varied release package today. I mean, there was a lot of vertical releases, obviously, but there were some inside stems. There were some kind of stutters at the top, but and right off the line of scrimmage. It was a lot of really good stuff. It really was. And then I think the flexibility and the smoothness in and out of breaks, I think is really kind of what separates Cam. And I think that you saw today the traits combined with the smoothness and the long strides that he has, all when you put all those things together, I think that's what makes Cam such a special player because it's not just he's going to be able to win vertically. You know, like he's a guy that has long strides and he can out leverage defenders down the field with his length and can just win down the fields, which he can do that, obviously. But it's the other stuff. It's the winning underneath. It's the ability to get in and out of breaks, be a route runner, to be to be that guy that can really affect the game on every level of the field. And I think that, he's not because I think that on the college level and a lot of high school recruits, you can find one thing that somebody's really good at. They call it a one-trick pony. For Cam, he's not a one-trick pony. Cam is a multi-trick guy. He's a guy that I think can really affect the game for multiple alignments. I think he could play to the boundary. I think he could play to the field, and I think he could play in the slot at times. And he showed me that today. Route running chops. You'll see that he can still uncover deep. Obviously, despite them not really going hard today from a one-on-one standpoint and from a letting guys go be athletes standpoint, you saw everything that I needed to see from Cam Williams to be super excited about the next level. The other guy on the West team, of course, was Kyngston Viliamu-Asa. And I've said this multiple times. I said this to someone on site. I said this on the message board. I said this in an article I wrote today about Kingston. These types of scenarios, and day one was in helmets. These types of scenarios in an all-star format and in no pads and just a helmet, that is not advantageous for a linebacker to have a big impact or showcase his skills. It's really not. I mean, that is designed for space players. That's designed for corners. That's designed for wide receivers. That's designed for safeties to a degree, running backs, guys that can really take advantage and play well in space. Linebackers, it's becoming more standard, but ultimately, it's not typically a spot where like linebackers aren't going to be in one-on-one pass coverage a ton as a middle linebacker. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be isolated a guy all the time. And in this scenario, in this day, in this atmosphere that is predicated on creating space and manipulating it, somehow, and I don't know why I should be say somehow, and I'm shocked about this. No one should be shocked about anything that Kyngstonn Viliamu-Asa is going to do on the next level. I'm telling you this right now. He excelled on day one of the All-Star of the All-American Bowl, excuse me. Why did he do that? One, you kind of ease in, and I told you all that this was kind of it's kind of an install day, right? What's the defense going to look like? What they're running, 4-3, what coverage shells, all those types of things. By the middle of practice, it seems like Kingston is one of the key communicators on the team already. That's what it looked like. I see coaches constantly going over to him, kind of telling him what they expect and what's next and what's this call and what's the coverage, yada, yada, yada. Because at Mike linebacker, it is Kingston's responsibility to parlay that to the rest of the team and get them all set. I expect by game day, well, I expect that to happen sooner, but by game day, I expect that Kyngstonn Viliamu-Asa is probably going to be starting Mike for the West team, and he's probably going to be the key communicator. He's probably going to call the defense. That's what I see based upon what I saw day one as far as the trajectory. The second part, though, is that in every drill, Kingston is just very smooth. And I posted a clip of him doing the bag drill, right, in his pedal, kind of working downhill, shuffling, showing kind of all the smoothness in his hips and his movement skills. And it looks really good. And then you see him in pass coverage, and it just looks natural. But then the instinctual aspect of him is what really sets him apart and set him apart today. They're they're doing a team period where, again, no pads, but the offensive line is still going through their steps, still getting to their spot, and they're still competing at the point of attack with the defensive line. The defensive linemen are using moves to try to create penetration and try to make plays, get extension in the run game. They're still doing those things. It's just not take it to the ground, super violent, right? Like it's not quite that. Kingston on probably 3 to 4 reps in the run game saw the play, fired downhill, and just it was almost like he knew what the play was before the play even happened. The instinctual nature. And you always hear me say this. There's guys that are reactive and there's guys that are proactive. Reactive is I see it, I adjust. Proactive is I know it's coming. I can see it. Some guys just see the game in an advanced level, and it could be based upon film, and then others just kind of a feel, like they just feel it happening. And I think that that's what makes Kingston special. Yes, Kingston is 6'2 plus, 230 pounds, can run, good athlete, right? Smooth athlete. But what makes Kyngstonn Viliamu-Asa special to me is he is a just stalwart in the terms of playing the linebacker position, feeling the game, being disruptive and understanding where his keys are and what the offense is trying to do to a defense. It's special, guys. It's special. I told someone today, it doesn't even cover Notre Dame. It is because I'll put it like this. Linebacker, especially middle linebacker, that's a tough transition to the college level. It is because there's going to be a lot on your plate from a communication, understanding the defense perspective. And we know that it is not typical, it's atypical for a linebacker, at least over the last couple years at Notre Dame, to come in and just be the guy. It's very atypical. We just saw last year Drake Bowen, who I think is a potential superstar on the college level. Like he played, but he wasn't a starter at Notre Dame. Like he still needed time to adjust. But I made a claim today, and I truly believe this. Kyngstonn Viliamu-Asa at some point will start at linebacker for Notre Dame in 2024. I believe that. Truly believe that. I think he's too good to keep off the field, folks. And it's not a physical thing per se, because yes, he's very talented and he is talented to get himself on the field from a physical perspective, from an athleticism perspective. But the reason I think he's going to get on the field is because he's just so natural at everything he does from playing the linebacker position. So I'm excited to see the rest of the week because I think that Kingston's going to take a huge jump from just a this is my defense perspective. And Cam Williams is going to take a big jump from now they're going to let me loose and let me take advantage and create some big plays offensively. So really great first day for Kingston, really solid, good first day for Cam Williams, really getting, just feeling out this process in an odd or a foreign situation. They've never been in this situation before. This is new to both players as far as playing in the All-American Bowl in San Antonio. Both players got off to a really good start. Tomorrow, I will be taking a look at the East squad, which means Keidron Young and Bryce Young. So make sure that we stay tuned there. I want to end this all real quick for you all. I'm going to walk us through and just talk about a couple plays. We put up at Irish Breakdown a little bit of some of the film clips from today, and hope you guys enjoy this. So if you're listening to me on any of your favorite podcast platforms, I'm going to walk us through and just talk about some of the things that I really like that I saw today based upon this film, or you can look at us on YouTube and make sure that you can see all these clips. So these are some of the practice clips from today's practice. Again, Kingston, Viliamu-Asa, Cam Williams. Let's take a look at what we saw. Start with Cam Williams. First thing, again, folks, we're talking about him just kind of getting loose and warmed up. While we're going half speed on a lot of these early reps, you can see the looseness. You can see the hip flexibility. You can see the ease. Cam joked after practice with me that there was a cornerback that had kind of been talking to him like, dang, man, like you're fast, right? Like you're fast. You got that stride. And he's like, yeah, man, like that's just something I've always had, right? And that kind of stride length really kind of takes guys off guard because you look at him and you're like 6'4", 1.5", great athlete, obviously, but he doesn't look like he'd be like a long strider necessarily. It's kind of a unique body type in the sense that he really has great stride length, which is why he wins vertically and down the field so much. And you can see that when he's really kind of sticks his foot in the ground and he gets up the field. That stride length covers a whole lot of ground in some very short time. It really happens. You see there working to the middle of the field, that explosiveness on just almost like a bang 8 type of routes, a little bit of we would call this an arrow route when I coached, just really one step, get to the middle of the field, almost like a deep slant of sorts. Here's Kingston now, and I talk about the coverage ability. Really smooth player in his pedal. I think he needs to play with a little bit of a better base, get his butt down a little bit, but then you see the run game aspect of everything, which what he sees. You can see as soon as this play is run, how quickly Kingston sees it, gets downhill, and is explosive to the football. He did that probably 5 or 6 times today, including this play where he saw it, read it, and got to the football again. Cam Williams on another rep here. This is one where he kind of is able to work down the field a little bit. Now, again, quarterback play in today's practice was not the best for a variety of reasons. Wet football, not just bad rain in general, but you can see there Cam had an easy step on this defensive back, but was just not able to uncover because the quarterback was getting a little bit harassed, or not harassed. He was getting a little harassed, but the wet football was not advantageous for him to make a big play. Then you see Kingston again on the bag drill, showing that fluidity, showing that flexibility, showing that smoothness in and out of his pedal, shuffling down the line of scrimmage. Really great stuff. And if you see anything there with Cam Williams on just a little bit of getting in and out of breaks, crossing routes, type of timing stuff. So those are some highlights from today's practice. Folks, I'm going to have more for you each and every day this week. We'll have practice Wednesday. We'll have practice Thursday. Friday, we'll have practice, but it'll be more of a walkthrough situation, but I'll still break down kind of what I'm seeing. And on Saturday, the 2024 All-American Bowl is scheduled to play at the Alamo Dome. So if you're in town, come down to the Alamo Bowl. Watch your future Notre Dame Fighting Irish. If not, make sure you are locked in to irishbreakdown.com. I will give you the absolute latest and everything you need to know down here in San Antonio. Thank you all for listening to this. Catch you tomorrow here on the Irish Breakdown podcast.